From what I've seen, artists in general seem to not like doing the same thing more than once. They tend to like trying out new techniques and experimenting with established formulas to come up with something new. Video game designers follow the same trend. That can be both good or bad, depending on the end result or even fan expectation. It can turn out to be a pretty decent game, but if it doesn't fall in line with what fans expect for the series, it will be hated. At least at first. I still remember loving the original Mario Brothers and being really excited to play Mario Brothers 2. I also remember yelling out, "What the hell is this?" when I noticed all the changes. Then I remember being slapped on the back of the head by my mother and aunts for cursing in front of them, and good times. So yeah, many games like Mario Brothers, Castlevania, and The Legend of Zelda all tried something different with their sequels, with mixed results. The game I'm reviewing today is another great example of developers trying something different with a sequel. Are the changes that were made good, or do they ruin the game? Let's find out. Hey there, this is Megablade J, and this is my review of PoPoRoGue. So, I was halfway through recording this review when I realized it's not PoPoRoGue, it's PoPoRoGue, as in Popo LaCroix and roguelike. I am a idiot. And don't worry, I went back and re-recorded the entire thing, so hold your tomatoes, please. Okay, back to review. PoPoRoGue is a turn-based JRPG. It was made by G Artists and published by Sony's SCEI for the PS1 on November of 1998. As a refresher, Popo LaCroix was one of the first JRPGs released for the original PlayStation. The series is about the adventures of Pietro, the prince of the kingdom of Popo LaCroix, and his friends as they fight evil to save the world. The game features cute character designs and stories that were relatively laid back compared to other more mature RPGs coming out at the time. This made the series very popular with female gamers in Japan. Due to its success, it spawned several sequels, anime OVAs, merchandise, and is still held in high regard in its home country today. Despite there already being Popo LaCroix 2, this is actually the second game released in the series. The story starts 2 years after Pietro and crew defeated the ice demon and saved his mother's soul from the underworld. For real though, if you have not played the first game, stop the review and go play that one. It's awesome. Pietro is enjoying the quiet life when one day, the kingdom of Popo LaCroix gets transported to a world of dreams. Here, roads and scenery constantly change, and nightmare monsters roam free. During an exploration mission of the strange new world, the bulk of the castle's guards go missing, and soon, so does the king. With Pietro's mother needing to stay in the castle to maintain order, once again, it's up to Pietro to venture forth to save his father and his kingdom from the forces of evil. Like the first game, the bulk of the story is more on the laid-back side. There's no edgy teen angst, no evil god to defy, or environmental overtones. Up until the final area, the story's pretty chill. It mostly involves Pietro traveling from town to town, looking for his dad, and getting pulled into hijinks. And like I said before, almost every JRPG at this time was trying to copy Final Fantasy VII, so I can see this being a big breath of fresh air. In typical JRPG fashion, you travel from town to town, talking with NPCs to gather info, buy items at shops, and take part in side quests that can grant extra items and plot lines. Anyone who's watched me play games knows I love talking with NPCs. To me, interesting NPC dialogue can make or break a game's immersion. The PoPoRoGue series is a great example of this. Almost every NPC in these games has something interesting or funny to say. Most of the character dialogue is pretty lighthearted or jokey and helps make the world feel more alive. And come on, how can you not love that goofball Gammy Gammy? Just love that guy. Many NPCs even have continuing side stories that progress as the main plot does. They're not important to the main story and are completely missable unless you take the extra time to travel back to old towns. But I love this stuff. While there's not as many continuing stories as in PoPoRoGue 1 or 2, it was still fun to see what characters had to say. There have been a few changes to the gameplay this time around, mainly that it takes on some roguelike elements. Between towns are maze-like dungeons. In these dungeons, you'll fight monsters, get treasure, solve simple puzzles, and fight bosses. If you die in a dungeon, you fortunately do keep your levels and equipment, but you'll lose a decent amount of money. Near the beginning of the game, many of the paths in these dungeons are blocked off with either light or metal doors. The metal doors are pretty simple to deal with and can be opened by beating all the monsters in that room. The light doors, on the other hand, can be opened in a variety of ways. If you examine them, they'll tell you the conditions needed to open them. Some can be opened with switches found in the same dungeon, while others are tied to story progression or having a certain party member present. While a pain in the butt to deal with, opening them is well worth the effort, as they usually hold important items like powerful weapons, ores to upgrade equipment, and more powerful enemies or scrolls to learn skills and magic. Get used to running through them, as there is a lot of backtracking, especially if you want the good items and loot. On the plus side, the dungeons are not completely random, and only certain parts of the dungeon will change each time you enter. This, combined with monsters being visible on the field, makes it a bit easier when backtracking, but more on that later. Another change is the party system. The team from the first game is not available. Sorry, no Pietro and Narcio love story this time around. Because of this, Pietro has to hire mercenaries to fight alongside him. As you travel, you'll run into a colorful cast of characters that will join up as mercenaries. Most will join automatically, with a few joining after you complete their related side mission. Mercenaries can be hired at guilds found in various towns around the world. Each mercenary has their own strengths and weaknesses. Some are slow and can't move very far, but hit like a train. Others have long-range spells and arrows but low defense. You can only have 2 in your party at a time, so it's good to mix and match your teams to fit your playstyle. While not fighting, you can send your mercenaries to scout the surrounding areas. This gets you extra money, equipment, and experience for the scouting party. You can also put your money in the bank in the guilds. You don't get interest, but you won't lose any money if you die. Plus, they give rewards when you put in a certain amount. Besides your mercenaries, you'll also find NPCs that can join your party. They won't fight, but can give certain benefits. For example, my favorite is a merchant that, while in your party, you can buy healing items while in dungeons. I do have mixed feelings on the mercenary system. Mechanically, it works fine, but it does leave a bit to be desired as far as story is concerned. When you first meet them, each have a great introduction showing off their unique personality. We have everything from a samurai trying to escape his ninja wife, twin fairies that love playing pranks, a pervy old man, and even a furry cat girl that likes to help animals in need. It's the thought that counts. These intros are funny and made me want to delve deeper into the backstories. Unfortunately, unless I miss them, besides one or two characters, that's all we get as far as story or even dialogue for most of these guys and gals. Heck, during important cutscenes, only Pietro will be in frame. Then, when it's over or a fight starts, the other members will then walk into the room. I would have loved it if each had their own side mission to get their ultimate weapons and learn more about each mercenary. As it is, it feels like a waste, as these seem like such interesting characters. Combat works similarly to the first game, minus now being able to see enemies on the field, that is. When you run into an enemy, you engage in a turn-based battle. One interesting thing to note is that you're not brought into a separate battle screen. You fight enemies in the area you encounter them. This adds an interesting wrinkle, as where you fight can affect the battle. For example, if you fight in a small corridor, your close-range fighters in the back may not be able to reach the enemy, and vice versa. You can still move characters around the field to get to a better position, or move out of range of attacking enemies. Like the first game, if you hit your foes from behind, you'll do more damage, but be careful, the same can be done to you. Magic and skills work similar to games like Final Fantasy II and Grandia, mainly in how they can gain experience and become stronger the more they're used. For example, the enemy avoidance spell. When you first get it, it just makes you invisible to baddies. But at level 3, it makes enemies run away from you. Another unique change is that for the first part of the game, you can only directly control Pietro, with your party being AI controlled. What you can do is give them general commands, and the AI will do the rest. These include being aggressive, focusing on support, or taking enemy hits. Later on, you can find an item that lets you control them normally. Early in the game, the AI does a decent job on its own and can make repeat weaker fights go by faster. But you'll need full control to take on tougher bosses later in game. The music was just as good as the first games and combines a mixture of new and returning tunes. I did notice that unlike 1 and 2, PoPoRoGue did not have any animated cutscenes. While this did help avoid the creepy dead eyes of the first game, I did miss them during important events. I'm curious if this game was done on a budget. There's also not as much voice acting either compared to 1 or 2, but when it does happen, the actors do a good job of bringing that scene to life. I'm fairly confident they reused the same engine from the first game as well, as many of the sprites and returning areas look ripped straight from PoPoRoGue 1. With that being said, the first game looked amazing. Its cartoonish art style and bright, colorful sprites show that the PS1 was no slouch in the 2D department. Some of the locales you visit are fun to look at too. You'll be exploring places like forests, ice caves, mechanical bases, and even a floating castle in the sky made of candy and cake. The art and story were made by, and I'm still not gonna butcher the guy's name, the person who created the original manga, the games were based off of. Some of his works include the original PoPoRoGue manga, Maya of the Golden Moon, and Mahime Forgiveness. From what I can tell from his website, he still seems to be pretty active in writing and going to fan conventions. It looks like he recently did a reprint of the original manga as well as a sequel series to it. If they ever get translated into English, I'll have to add these to my collection one day. While I did enjoy the game, it did have a few issues that may put some people off. The dungeons hold one of my biggest gripes with the game: the amount of backtracking. As I said before, the roads between major towns and plot-related areas are separated with maze-like dungeons. As the story progresses, these dungeons get bigger. This can be from gaining extra floors or rooms, or locked doors now being open. Now, while not completely random, certain parts of the dungeon will change each time you enter. It seems like the entrance, exits, and major plot-related rooms stay the same, with everything else in between being able to change. As far as I can tell, there seems to be only a few different configurations, but it's enough to trip you up if you're not paying attention. You do have a map spell that can help, but each time you enter the dungeon, it resets. So you have to refill out the map each time you travel the dungeon. To compound this issue, there is no real teleport system. The only place you can teleport to is back to the main castle town, back at the start of the game. Because there is no teleport system, the only way to get back to where you were before, or to other areas, is to go through each and every dungeon along the way. This is even more of a pain because a lot of the game's side quests and better equipment are going to pop up in these newer areas. So you're going to be traveling back through the same areas over and over again, looking for that one new door or one new area that opened up if you want to get some of the better equipment. Honestly, I would have really preferred if they had made the dungeons smaller and just spun these new areas off into new, separate, smaller dungeons with some kind of new visual to look at. This is a major pain in the butt and seems like it was made to extend the game's playtime. I swear, if I gotta go through that freaking ice cave one more time, just one more time. Okay, it's good. I'm good. I'm done with the game. I'm good. Alright, so, fortunately, as you progress, shortcuts and teleporters do appear in certain dungeons, majorly cutting down on travel time. This does help a lot, but the issue could have been avoided entirely if there was a teleport system like in the first games. Another smaller issue I had involved treasure chests in dungeons. When you use a map spell to get the dungeon's layout, you can see green dots that show where treasure is. When you open said treasure, the dot is supposed to disappear. Sometimes, however, when you open a chest, the icon does not go away. So, on repeat trips to the dungeon, you'll see the dot on the map, think it's a new chest, but it's already been open. It's a small issue, but it does get annoying when you go back looking for items you missed or certain side quests. PoPoRoGue was only released in Japan, but there is a fan translation online. If you want to own a copy, it can be found online for pretty cheap. As of this video, they tend to go for about 15 to 20 bucks. Despite the backtracking and other minor issues, I had a fun time with PoPoRoGue. The game had fun combat mechanics, it's just as charming as the first game, and was another fun adventure in the world of PoPoRoGue. As far as I can tell, I don't believe this game affects the main canon at all, so if the issues mentioned above bother you, you can easily skip this one and just play 2. However, if you're a fan of the series, or are looking for a decent JRPG with roguelike dungeon crawler elements, I'd say give it a try. Once again, a big thank you to the passionate fans that worked on translating this and the rest of the series into English. Thank you so much. Hopefully we'll get the PS2 games in English one day as well. I also want that Android game in English. I know, it was an online gacha game and it can't be preserved, but it's the last game in the series and I want it, darn it. I mean, just look how cute they are together. I want my happy ending, darn it. Sorry, from playing these translations, I have become a major fan of this series, and I just want to play more of these games and get lost in their world. A man can dream, can't he? A man can dream. This has been Megablade J. If you enjoyed the review, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more Let's Plays, reviews, and my poor attempts to entertain you all. Thanks for watching, and see you all next mission. Bye.